And then somewhere out of nowhere, this voice, and I can only describe it as a voice, said to me, "Are you going to let this stop you? What are you doing? Why are you allowing this to keep you stuck? You're having this experience for a purpose. And if you'd only just stop all of this negative talk, you're going to be able to see what that purpose is." Hi, I'm Liam Naden, and welcome to my podcast, Let Yourself Off the Hook. As someone who has studied success for decades, I have found the formula for achieving your dreams and goals. And it's all to do with how you use your brain. Each week on my show, I will provide you with the tools, resources, and expertise to utilize your brain to its ultimate potential and remove the barriers to your success. And as you will discover, true success in every area of your life only comes when you let yourself off the hook. Is there something bothering you in your life that won't seem to go away? Perhaps it's a problem in your business or your career or a relationship you have. It could even be a health issue. You know, no matter what we do, sometimes life just doesn't go the way we want it to go. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what problems really mean for you in your life and how you can use problems to propel you forward rather than hold you back. And all it really requires is a simple shift in the way that you use your brain. Most of us have got things in our life that we're not really that happy about. And even if things are going pretty well, we often feel things could be better, or there's some area of our life where we're not feeling as fulfilled or productive as we feel we should or could be, or it's just not as enjoyable as we know that it could be. And sometimes, even when things are going well, something unexpected might come along to upset things and knock us off track. And it often seems as if there's a part of life that's beyond our control, and no matter how much effort we put in, we still sometimes don't get the results we really want. Now, all of this really came home to me recently when I was hit with a problem that was not only quite unexpected, but something that no matter what I did, it just wouldn't seem to go away. If you know anything about me, you know I travel a lot. In fact, I'm pretty well a permanent traveller. And I've done all sorts of things. I've lived in a motorhome and travelled around New Zealand. And I've recently finished spending 8 years sailing around Europe, more than 15 countries around Europe, on a yacht. So I do a lot of travel and it's fun, but of course it's tiring as well. And nowhere did it hit me as being more true than recently when I did a long-haul flight from New Zealand, my home country, all the way to Europe, to Bulgaria. And it was more than 22 hours in the air and more than 34 hours in total travel time. And of course, I got hit with the jet lag. And I've had jet lag before, but this seemed a lot worse because I also picked up an ear infection. And instead of just having a few days of jet lag, it really turned into weeks and weeks of feeling dizzy, tired, and really disoriented a lot of the time. Now, this is something I certainly wasn't expecting, and I certainly didn't welcome it happening either. Maybe if you're dealing with a problem at the moment, you can relate to a lot of the feelings and thoughts that I was going through as this experience went on and on for several weeks. You know, I tried all sorts of different things to make the problem go away. You know, I tried ear drops, I tried asking doctors, and of course I did the usual thing of Googling my symptoms to try to find out what was going on and how could I get rid of this uncomfortable feeling. And I was told by doctors, well, you just have to give it time. And of course, that only made me feel more frustrated. So if you think about a problem you're dealing with at the moment, maybe one that you've spent a lot of time already, a lot of energy on, and you're trying to fix and you're not really getting anywhere with or not making much progress, think about the effect that it's having on you, which was what this was having on me. Firstly, it's debilitating, isn't it? I mean, it slows you down, it drains your energy. And you can't do some of the things that you want to do and that you're used to doing. And that's all very frustrating as well. And you have all of those thoughts. It's not fair. Why is this happening to me? There's so much I want to be doing that I could be doing it, and I just can't get the focus and energy to be able to do them. And we also have thoughts of, I can see what my life would be like if I could just solve this problem. It would be so much better. You might have a relationship problem and you're thinking, if I could just fix this, if I could just get it back to where it was, or I could see how great it could be, if I could just do that, everything would be wonderful in my life. And I could live so many dreams that I have with this wonderful person. It might be that you have debts or financial problems, or you're just not making the amount of money that you'd really like to do some of the things that you really would like to do. And you might be having the thought, life is passing me by and instead of doing things I really love, I'm having to deal with this problem. Well, as I've discovered and as I'd really forgotten about when I was dealing with this problem myself, with this dizzy feeling after jet lag, there is a way to use problems in your life that actually benefit you. Now, this remembering what I already knew and what I teach people and had temporarily forgotten about problems and how they benefit you and how to use your brain to minimize your problems and deal with your problems effectively. Well, I had a recall of my memory, if you like. I had an aha moment, and it happened in the shower one day. And there I was, having a shower. I don't want you to visualize this too much, but you might get an idea. But I was having this thought, all these thoughts. Oh, this is frustrating. Why is this happening to me? This is so annoying. There's so many things I need to be getting on and doing. All of this negativity. And then somewhere out of nowhere, this voice, and I can only describe it as a voice, said to me, "Are you going to let this stop you? What are you doing? Why are you allowing this to keep you stuck? You're having this experience for a purpose. And if you'd only just stop all of this negative talk, you're going to be able to see what that purpose is." So this really was like a wake-up call, a very welcome wake-up call. And it shook me out of my negative thinking, my negative patterns. It let me off the hook. And it made me remember and realize the truth, not only about the problem that I was experiencing, but really about all problems, including the ones that you're facing right now. And the first thing I remembered is that everything in life happens for a reason. We actually live in a perfect universe. If you look around you and observe nature, observe everything that's going on, you see there's an order, a perfection, a purpose, and a meaning to everything. Everything just exists in a perfect harmony and balance. There's nothing random or accidental about anything. So everything happens for a good reason. And I know we've probably heard that before, but it is actually true. There is a benefit to everything. Because the reality is, as I said earlier, problems can and do show up in our life despite our best efforts. Sometimes we create problems for ourselves. Maybe we're pushing ourselves a bit hard. Or we're doing things that aren't good for us. Or we're not doing things that are good for us. Sometimes we do it intentionally, even knowing that what we're doing isn't really helping. So we might eat something or drink something or say something to somebody or do something, even when we know all of those things aren't going to be good for us, but we do them anyway. And sometimes they're things we don't know that are going to not be good for us. We don't know that they're going to harm us, but the net result is the same. We end up with a problem. Might be a health problem, a relationship problem, a financial problem. Whatever it is, we can see it's often the result of something that we've done or not done. But there are other problems that show up in life that aren't the result or don't appear to be the result of anything that we've done or not done. I mean, we have accidents. Accidents happen. Other people come along, other events, other things happen, other situations happen that aren't desirable, and they can create a problem. But through all of this, through all of the fact that problems might exist in our life, it doesn't get away from the truth that nature is designed to live with a minimum of problems, including you. You are designed to live with a minimum of problems. And you have a machine called your brain whose purpose is to ensure that you have the minimum amount of problems in your life so that you have your greatest chance for survival by being the best that you can be, which is, of course, your biological purpose. So your brain's always working to minimize your problems, to help you avoid problems, and to solve any problems that you have in the most efficient and effective way. It's always working to do that. It's always trying to do that. And of course, we can help it to do its job more efficiently and more effectively by learning to use it the right way. So when you put a different perspective on your problems, when you realize and understand that everything in life has a benefit, often it's a hidden benefit, but everything has a benefit, then you can put a different perspective on your problems, and that different perspective is going to help you deal with that problem in a much more effective way. So here's one different thought about your problem. Maybe your brain is bringing you this problem, or maybe you have this problem to teach you something. Maybe it's to teach you the consequences of what happens when you do something the wrong way, so that you won't do that again. Sometimes we have to learn things the hard way. I've certainly had to learn a lot of things the hard way in my life when it comes to relationships, about what's the right and wrong way to have a relationship, or in business as well. What are some of the right and wrong things to do in business? And one of the biggest lessons, of course, is the consequences of what happens when you go against your intuition. We discussed intuition in a previous episode, but sometimes a problem exists to say to you, you went against your gut feelings, your inner voice. You went against what you knew was the right thing to do. You went against that, and that's why you've ended up with a problem. So don't do that again. Another thing that your problem could be giving you is the gift of an experience that helps you understand yourself and other people better. Something that you could never understand to the same depth or level if you hadn't experienced it yourself. For instance, if you've been through a bad divorce or a painful relationship, it's a great experience to teach you how to have a much better one. You know the mistakes not to make, and you know the things that you should do that you weren't doing in that previous relationship. Making a bad business decision, even losing a business, or ending up in a career or a job that you don't like, these can all be wonderful learning experiences about what you need to do right the next time, and make much better decisions about your career, your business, and your life. And here's something important to consider. Maybe what you learn, maybe one of the purposes for you learning these things and experiencing the pain of the problem as your way of learning these things, maybe it's there because in some way you're designed to help others. At some point in the future, you may have this opportunity, this gift, this purpose, this experience where you help someone else to overcome their problems. And you could only do that because you yourself had experienced that problem. You knew what it felt like. You're able to feel true connection and empathy and sympathy for another person or other people because you yourself had experienced what they're going through right now. And that's a wonderful gift to have. Because imagine someone coming to you in the future and saying, I saw you go through that problem. I heard what you said. And you inspired me because I was going through the same problem myself, but I learned from you and it helped me get through that problem and overcome it. And for that, I want to thank you. It's possible that could happen to you in your life in the future. And of course, there are other things, there are other lessons that we learn from problems. And one is the truth that not everything in your life is within your control. In fact, if you really think about it, very little of what is in your life is in your control. All of the functions of your physical body, most of them just happen without you consciously controlling them. You can't stop your heart beating. You can't stop breathing. You can't stop eating and drinking and digesting food. These and all of the other physical and biological processes that are going on all the time to keep you in this marvelous instrument, this marvelous vessel, which is your body. You have very little control over any of that. And outside of your body, how much control do you have over the weather, over nature, over gravity, or some of the other laws of things that that go on in the world, in the natural world. You have no control over those things. And the events in your life, the things that happen to you, if you really think about it, you'll realize that most of what happens to you happens seemingly beyond your control. They're not things that you've planned to happen. Meeting that person, seeing that new opportunity, that event happening in your life, most of these things just happen and they're beyond our control. So when we have a problem, it's a good opportunity to realize that most of the things that happen in our life are beyond our control, and we need to stop the feelings of frustration and stress of feeling that we need to be in control and that somehow we have this ability to manage absolutely everything about our life, because it's simply not true. Another thing problems teach us is really what's important in life. We shouldn't take life too seriously, and very often we do. We think that everything is far more important than it actually is. So, for instance, having that conversation with somebody and worrying if it's going to go well or not. What happens if it doesn't go well? What happens if you say the wrong thing? What happens if someone else gets upset with you? What happens if that business deal doesn't go through? Or if you don't end up healing that relationship? Really? What does happen? What happens if you don't attend that business meeting that's scheduled for tomorrow and that seems so important? Life will go on with all of these things. And the other beautiful part about it is not only will life go on, but it will go on in unexpected and probably much better ways. So the end of that relationship is the opportunity for a new one, a better one. The end of that job or career, it's the same thing. You open yourself up for the possibility and the probability of a better experience. So these are all the benefits of having problems. And you can see that many of these things, you wouldn't get the benefit of them if you didn't experience those problems, if you didn't learn from them, if you didn't know on a deep level what it was like to have that problem and how to overcome it. But one of the greatest benefits of all of having problems is probably one you've never thought of. In fact, you might not know even existed. And that is, a problem is a gift to help you overcome your subconscious fears. This is so important, I'm going to say it again. A problem is really a gift to help you overcome your subconscious fears. Because here's one of the most profound secrets of life that I could possibly share with you and that I've learnt. And that is, every blockage to real success and fulfillment in your life is caused by subconscious fears. It's those hidden fears, those things you're afraid of that you're not even aware that you're afraid of or don't even know exist. And these fears, these subconscious fears that are really driving your life to a large degree, they have a direct and physical effect on the workings of your brain, and they literally prevent it from bringing you everything that you need to not have problems and to be the best that you can be. For decades of my life, I didn't realize it, but I was driven by two subconscious fears. One was the fear of not having enough, and the other was the fear of not being loved. And as I said, for decades, those two fears drove me. They dominated my life, and they caused me to do lots of things that gave me lots of problems. They caused me to get into the wrong relationships. They caused me to stay in relationships that I should never have stayed in. And not just personal romantic relationships, but business relationships as well, and social relationships. All of the things that weren't good for me, but it was the fear of not being loved that prevented me from moving on from those things, from those relationships. And the fear of not having enough kept me driving and striving for more and more. There was never enough in my life. I needed more money. I needed more stuff, more of everything. I needed to set higher goals and achieve more. And that caused me to make lots of mistakes and do lots of silly things as well, and create lots of problems. And of course, with those problems came stress and frustration, which, because of the way the brain works, only created more problems in my life. So one of the most important things you can do as a result of having a problem in your life or a series of problems is to really start to examine, what are my subconscious fears around this problem? Now, of course, we could go very, very deeply into this whole area of identifying, uncovering, and resolving your subconscious fears. And it's really the basis of all my coaching, all my programs, and all the work I do. But there are a few things you can ask yourself, begin to ask yourself, to start to uncover your subconscious fears. For instance, if it's a health issue that you're facing, like I was with my dizziness, what are the fears about things that you can't do, things that you're afraid you might never be able to do? But of course, the flip side to that is, if you have that fear, is to say, what are the things you can do? What are the things I can do right now, even with that health problem? I can still do more things that maybe most people on the planet can do, or certainly very many people can do. I can listen to this. I can watch this. I can be mobile. I can move around. There are things that I can do to enjoy my life. Of course, we all have physical limitations of some sort. But if you have a fear that your health or an issue you're dealing with in your health is holding you back, that's going to create some frustration and prevent you from seeing just how much you really can do in other areas and other ways. And if you've got a problem in your business, or maybe even your business is failing, or certainly not doing well financially or in any other regard, perhaps you could ask yourself, well, what other opportunities might there be, and what other opportunities might open up for me if this business did fail? If I decided that the problems weren't solvable as they are, and I just walked away from the problem, maybe that would create some space for new opportunities to come to me. Opportunities, of course, that you can't see right now, and that's what creates more fear and frustration. But nevertheless, at least on a theoretical level, those opportunities might be there. And it's the same with a relationship. Maybe you're in a relationship that's not going well, and you're afraid that it's going to fail, that it's going to end. But isn't it true that one of your fears would be, well, you might end up in a situation where you'd never find a better relationship if the one you're in failed? But what if you could find a better one? What if the lesson that this is trying to teach you is that you have this subconscious fear of that you won't find a better one, but it's simply not true, and that you will find a better one? When you start to change your perspective on your problems, whatever you're facing right now, one thing you realize is it's actually true. It's a different perspective, but everything about it, everything that I've been saying to you about looking at your problem in a different way, all of those things are actually true. There is a gift, there is a benefit, there is a positive side. There are lessons to learn that are all good, and they're all things that are going to help you improve your life and become the best version of yourself. And they're also going to help you, if you use them effectively, they're going to help you overcome your subconscious fears so that you can remove those blockages that have been holding you back. But the other great thing that happens is when you start to see your problems in a different way. And remember, this isn't just about positive thinking. In fact, this isn't positive thinking at all. I don't believe in positive thinking, but I believe in being realistic and finding the truth, which is that there is a positive side to everything. But when you really start to look at it from this different perspective, the other thing that you start to feel inside yourself is gratitude. And gratitude is really one of the most important and most empowering emotions that you can feel, because it has a directly positive effect on the way your brain works. So when you change your perspective and you start to feel grateful, you start to see the good things in your life that are always there, that have always been there. But of course, in your frustration and annoyance and stress and focus on your problems, you've not only forgotten about, but you literally haven't been able to see. So think about all of the good things you have in your life. You've got the love of other people. There are people in your life who genuinely and truly love you for who you are. There are people in the world who really don't have people who they could say, make them feel good or who love them. There are people who are very alone, very lonely, very lacking in love, but you have love in your life. You know, the other amazing thing to be grateful for, I mean, there are so many things to be grateful for, and it's a really good exercise to use your brain, is to come up with a lot of the things that you could and should be grateful for. But one of the things we often forget to be grateful for is simply the fact we live in the most amazing time in history. We're so lucky to be alive right here, right now. There's so many opportunities. There's so much in the way of technology, knowledge, awareness, understanding, all of these things that are going on that we can use and that we do use most of the time without being grateful for it, without even thinking about it, while we're busy focusing on and worrying about our problems. There are so many things that didn't exist even just a few years ago, and they make our lives so much easier and more enjoyable. And here's another thing you can be grateful for. You can be grateful for your problem. And for all the reasons that we've already talked about. You can say, I'm really glad I'm experiencing this because I can see all of the lessons I'm learning from it, all of the benefits it's giving me. It's making me a better and stronger person. And when I get through this, which I will, when I solve this problem, when this problem goes away, which it will, I'm going to look back on it and be grateful for the person that I've become, that I could only have become thanks to having had that problem. Because the truth is, your problem is not going to last forever, or it's very, very unlikely that it's going to last forever. So there's going to be a time when you no longer have that problem. Maybe it's a health issue like I had with the dizziness, which eventually, after a few weeks, did go away. And I look back and I thought, oh, I was so frustrated and, worried, and it was so debilitating. And I realized, wow, now I've had the experience of having had a problem or a health issue that I thought might not go away or that was interfering with my life. What have I learned about how to deal with that? I learned a lot. And I reminded myself of all of the stuff I've been telling you about how we should use our brain in the right way and change our perspective and see the true perspective on the gift that any problem in our life actually gives us. So think forward to the future, to a time when you don't have the problem that you're facing right now, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a financial issue, a business issue, personal relationship issue, whatever it is, you're going to come through it. You will overcome it. This too shall pass, as it says in the Bible. So think about what your life's going to be like then. When you look back on that problem and you say, I'm really glad that happened to me. I learned a lot. I benefited from it. And I wouldn't be here right now, the person that I am, if it wasn't for that problem that happened. Another exercise is to think back on a problem that's happened to you in the past. When was a time when you had something bad going on in your life that you really was frustrating you, was consuming your energy, was dragging you down, and you overcame that problem? Now, you might look back on that problem and you might think that was a gift. If you don't look back on the problem and see the benefit in the gift, I really encourage you to think about it in those terms and see if you can reframe and see the truth about the gift that problem gave you. But even if you can't, what's one of the benefits? What's one of the gifts, the obvious gifts that problem has given you, that problem that you had in the past, that thing that traumatized you so much or was so painful to live through? The great gift and benefit is that you're listening to me right now. We're talking. You're learning this information. You're learning these things and becoming aware of these things that you wouldn't have. You wouldn't be here right now listening to this, watching or listening to me, if anything about your life had been different in the slightest. And I hope that you're enjoying listening to me, and I hope that you're learning a lot, and I hope that this is benefiting you in your life. That's the purpose. That's why I do this. But everything you're experiencing right now is a gift in your life, and you can use it. And you wouldn't be here right now if anything had been any different, including not having had your problem. So all of these ideas I've been sharing with you, play with them. Maybe listen to this a couple of times. And play with these ideas until you see that they are the truth. I'm not telling you anything that is not the truth. This is all the truth. And when you start to see the truth, that's when you start to feel better. You start to say to yourself, maybe life's not so bad after all. Maybe there's a good reason why I'm having these things happen in my life. Why all of these things are happening out that seem to be random events. Maybe they all have a purpose. Maybe there's a purpose for my problems. And when you do that, when you start to change your perspective and you see the truth and you see the benefit and the gift, that's when you start to feel better. And feeling better is the key to unlocking the more resourceful part of your brain, the part I call your creative brain. So that not only do you feel better, but all of the problem-solving ability, the imaginative, resourceful, creative part of you starts to come to the fore, starts to become stronger, and you start to use it in a way that benefits your life even more. You're going to get new solutions, new insights into how to deal with the problem you're currently facing. And all of that is going to have you using your brain in a better way and bringing you closer and closer to the ideal version of you, the best version of you, which is what your biological purpose is to be. So let yourself off the hook. See your problems for what they really are, and not only see your problems go away, but see a better life show up for you.